Welcome, everybody, to the debut issue of Geek-Span. I'm your host, Wes, and I'm here with my good friends, Skip and Tosh. We're going to give you the 411 on all the current comic industry news. How's it going, Skip?
Oh man, I'm fighting the plague and cranky people, but I'm happy to be here with you, man, to talk about one of my favorite topics in this whole blue and green dot comics and comic industry news.
Absolutely. So this has been a pretty good week in comic industry news. We got a lot of we got comic movie news. We got some new series coming off. We got maybe an icon at Marvel is closing up shop for Marvel Cosmic, and we're going to hit it all right now. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. So after several teasers, Marvel finally provided details regarding their December incoming event that closes out their 80th anniversary celebration. 14 writers are credited on the upcoming murder mystery, including Al Ewing, Chip Zdarsky, Jonathan Hickman, and Donnie Cates. Skip, are Marvel Comics overthinking this event book, or are you excited?
Me personally, I'm not as excited. I think they're overthinking it a little bit. Of course, CB Cebulski, and his Legion of Doofuses, as you coined, instead of, constantly going for the quality, they're always looking for some odd end to stir up or drum up something. And I think this is just going to be another one of those things. Now, the good news about it is a lot of people really, really, really dig Donnie Cates and the work that he does. Me, unfortunately, as much as I've tried his indie stuff with, I forget the name of it, but it's about the vampires through Image. What was the other one? There was another one like that. It was called, something. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a bunch of vampires in like an old country town. I've tried that. The only thing I've really, really, really liked from Donnie Cates was the one thing that most people weren't digging, which is Silver Surfer Black. So for me, I'm not all that excited about it, and I do feel like there has that tinge of let's just drum something up and just throw it out there. But the good news is a lot of people dig Donnie Cates. I'm just not so sure that he'll be able to stick the landing on whatever this event is. But I guess I know you'll be covering it, and I know you're someone who likes at least his Guardians of the Galaxy run. So do you have any excitement around it or any expectations, Wes?
Well, yeah, I like a lot of Donnie Cates, but you got Al Ewing who's doing Immortal Hulk. You got Chip Zdarsky, who's probably maybe the hottest writer in comics, or at least he was a few months ago. And Jonathan Hickman, Jonathan Hickman is the hottest writer in comics. So 14 writers on one book, it seems a bit much to me. Like, I would rather just have one great creator with one great artist making a great story, and maybe a tie-in here or there, but to have 14 writers on one comic book, like, I just read Marvel Comics 1000. It wasn't a fun experience for me. So I'm imagining there's going to be 14 different creative teams on this incoming event book that's, it's supposed to be a murder mystery. It's got everybody in the whole Marvel universe. You got the Champions, you got the Jonathan Hickman's X-Men, you got the Fantastic Four. I've seen the Avengers in the promos. I've seen the Black Rider, Daredevil. I mean, there's going to be a lot of moving parts. I don't know. I'm not excited. That's too many creators for one comic book, for my taste.
You said it, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Too many cooks in the kitchen.
And I believe the Donnie Cates comic book you were looking for was Redneck.
Redneck, thank you. Yes, Redneck.
All right.
And
that's power of Google.
Yeah, the power of the G base. Yes, sir, indeed. So we'll have to see how it develops. Obviously, I know you'll be covering it. Me, for the different channels that I review things for, I'll be covering some of it, and we'll still bring the news to you after it comes out to let you know what we think of it after the fact.
Also, just before we head off to the next subject, there's going to be another 3 events going on in December. We're going to have Annihilation Scourge, 2099, and then incoming all debuting. How many events is too much for 1 month?
2 is too many for 1 month.
2 is too many.
Man, like, that's just overkill, man. Like, and trust me, I love to read really good comics. Like, anybody watching this right now likely does. But That's what I mean, man. There goes the Legion of Doofuses again. You know, they're almost worse
Hmm.
than Bendis's Legion of heroes or whatever. Like they're
We
just
call them the
trying.
four horsemen of DC's apocalypse.
The four horsemen of
Didio,
the.
King, Bendis, and G. Willow Wilson. I guess she's out. It's Kelly Sue DeConnick now.
There you go. She's rose up in the ranks to take that spot, but it's just too much of a ploy, man. Can we focus on just like one quality thing, and then the rest of the normal books that people enjoy from the characters, can we just have those be quality? That should be enough. But all this, like, it's like they're just trying to whip up a storm of panels and pages and overwhelm everybody and hope that by the time you read it all, you don't realize that half of it is schlock and, you know, maybe some of it is good. So, ah.
Yeah, they just do whatever they can to have new #1 issues, but the Absolute Carnage finishes in November and Coming starts in December. It's too many events, but next subject for a long wait, I jumped the gun a little bit. Tom Taylor's Deceased is the hottest series at DC Comics. They just announced he's rebooting the Suicide Squad in December, most notably without Amanda Waller. For a long time, there's been a sense of safety around the Suicide Squad. The anti-heroes and villains have gone out on missions, fought dirty, won dirty, and most of the time have come home. Taylor told Hollywood Reporter, in our book, that's not going to be the case anymore. The team we sent out in issue 1 won't all live through the first mission. DC characters with years of history are going to be confined to history after issue 1. Truly, no one is safe. Are you pumped up for an Amanda Waller-less Suicide Squad that reemphasizes characters are not safe?
I'm not pumped about Amanda Waller not being a part of it, because to me, she's always like one of the best parts. The depths that this lady will go for her agenda is like unfounded. You know, like if only she had the. I know this. I'm going to say something controversial here. Let's go. I'm going to say something controversial. She has the will that of Batman, but she don't got the skill of Batman. There is, I mean, and she'll go farther. There is no depths to what this lady will do to achieve her goals. And I just always admire that. And it always makes for great tension contrasting to whoever her antithesis is within the storyline. So for her not to be there feels a little weird to me. I almost feel like they're kind of setting us up like, oh yeah, she's not going to be in it. And then ultimately she does pop up later. Of course, I do like the concept of getting back to basics and having it be so that not every issue does someone make it through, from the Suicide Squad. So I do like that idea. I'm interested to see how they handle it because, they're saying they're going to kill. I mean, it's Dan Didio. I'm sure he was just like, oh, Tom Taylor, kill everybody. I don't care. But, they got to be careful about who they kill off because I mean, not that DC Comics cares about their continuity anymore anyway, but still, some of these people are going to want in the story. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they have it. I was actually surprised how much I enjoyed the concept of Deceased, or I should say the storytelling of Deceased. I didn't really like the concept, but taking it over to somewhere where it applies more, the Suicide Squad, I like that part, but I just, as weird as it sounds, I'm usually not so beholden to certain things, but I really want Amanda Waller to be a part of this. I enjoy her as whatever the heck. She's not an anti-hero. I'm going to call her a villain. I enjoy her as a villain.
She's a puppet master. She's always pulling the strings, and that she has the will that if you step out of line or you don't do what she wants, she'll kill you. So it's the ultimate threat hanging over the team. So I agree with you. She should definitely be there. I'm not the biggest Tom Taylor fan. Everyone knows this. I think X-Men Red was an absolute travesty. But, his work at DC is much better. I'm willing to give it a shot. I like the idea that you're putting the characters in danger once more. I know Harley Quinn's not going to be killed off or dead shot because they're in the upcoming movie that's coming through. But I'll be surprised if one of the new the returning characters like Zebra Man or Cavalier probably the one that dies. But I like the idea. I'm willing to get behind it. Although I do believe Amanda Waller should be on the team. She should be on the team. She should be leading the effort and conniving and pulling the strings and putting everybody in jeopardy. For her own personal benefit because she's a great character in that aspect. And I think it's a huge loss But it probably ties into this event Leviathan, but that's not confirmed yet.
Yeah, we got to see. And I don't know if there's ever been a story where like Waller stepped over the line and she, well, I mean, she always steps over the line, but to the point where her superiors actually arrest her and put her in prison. Because I would love to see her go from, the fall. I would love to see her go from like the officer. Yeah, to have her like, okay, now she's locked up and she wants to reduce her sentence. So now she's part of the Suicide Squad. And it would be a nice juxtaposition to see her, still have all of her leadership capabilities and lead the team, but from a point where like they can disagree with her now and see how she has to deal with that because she just can't hit the switch to, blow up their heads or get them sniped by someone. I don't know. That'd be an interesting idea to me, but I'm no comic book writer. What do I know?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. That would be pretty good juxtaposition, because she's always sending people into danger, but she never experiences it really for herself. So being in there with the team, getting shot at, having the bullets whizzing by is a totally different experience. So I kind of agree with that. That's a pretty good idea. I don't think they'll probably do it, but they should do it. DC, throw this man some money. He's your next big thing on Suicide Squad. All right, next subject. A live-action Kate Bishop Hawkeye will debut on Disney Plus in the fall of 2021. Reports indicate Disney may have found their next Marvel heroine, Bumblebee star Hailee Steinfeld. Is Steinfeld the right choice to portray the next iteration of Hawkeye?
I have to admit that I am not well versed in Kate Bishop almost at all, and I didn't make it through as much of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye as I wanted to. I'm still like slowly getting through that. But the later concepts and ideas of Kate Bishop post Young Avengers, I've been keen to, and I understand a little bit of the character. Now I'll just go ahead and be honest. Hailee Steinfeld is one of my favorite young actresses. I probably say young actresses under 26 or whatever. She's probably my favorite. Her portrayal in True Grit, the Coen Brothers movie, and that being like her first movie, like major film, incredible, impeccable. And maybe I don't always like the types of movies that she's in, which is fine, but I always enjoy her performances. She's always spot on. So her paired against the 209, which is right below Sacramento, Stockton area, Modesto area, 209's very own Jeremy Renner. Jessica Chastain is from Sacramento, by the way, too. Look it up. Those two together, like in a film with Kevin Feige, with the vision, for this series, I think is spot on, man. This is probably, out of all the news that we're covering, this is easily the one that I was the most excited about. The unfortunate thing is that it isn't directly a comic book, but at least it's good to know that there's people out there still trying to make good decisions and do right by the source material and respecting it with very good casting.
Well, you'll be happy to know Jeremy Renner will be a part of the TV show. At least he'll have a role in it. I don't believe he'll be a regular, but he's going to appear in some of the episodes. I think it's a good choice. One of the problems with Kate Bishop as a character is she never fails. She can't do anything wrong. So I think adding Hailee Steinfeld, who has a very much a girl next door kind of quality, someone that you expect to fail here and there, but can portray learn or growing as a character and things like that. I didn't really like Ender's Game, but I thought she was great in that. I wasn't I can't remember. I'm not even going to go into that movie. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, she pretty much is great in everything that she does, and she's very relatable. I just watched Bumblebee with my 4-year-old son. It's his new favorite movie. A lot of people will be like, well, it's a girl starring in an action movie. He didn't care at all. She was very relatable. Comes through the screen and is really easy to root for. So I think that's going to help out. And the one big hope I do have for this is if the character hits, if the show's is a critical success, is a commercial success, maybe they'll take some of that stuff that works on the little screen and throw it in the comic books and maybe fix the character a little bit, because she could use some TLC as far as I'm concerned in the pages of Marvel Comics.
I would agree, and being that Hailee has kind of that countenance of like, even though she's girl next door, and she can dress up. Like she even had like a like a little music career going on, which I thought that was kind of interesting as a side project. But she very much has that tough girl vibe too. You know what I mean? So being that she has that tough girl vibe, we can see her fail, make mistakes, and then we can see her overcome and have more of a true, hero story arc and a better character story arc instead of like her just coming off as like too kind of frail. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she's gotta fail up. You know what I mean? She can't. She has to be perfect. She can't make mistakes. So I like that. I also like the fact that it did mention that Jeremy Renner, they're going to show more of his Ronin side and more of what happened with that. So being that whole thing alone is kind of seen as a mistake and excuse my choice of words, but a blip on Hawkeye's, hero career, I think, we'll see some things there that will kind of help. So there's going to be some sort of conflict. It can't be like a wholly perfect thing, but I do hope that they give her some challenges and some true obstacles to overcome. And I think Haley will portray, overcoming and all that stuff in an awesome way. And for the record, I'm gonna throw it out there. Shoot, when I was younger, Harriet the Spy was one of my favorite movies. So if y'all don't like Michelle Trachtenberg, you know what I mean? What are you doing?
Yeah, that's always one of those weird, like old wives' tales that boys can't relate to action movies led by girls. If the character's good, the character's relatable. They're always relatable. I remember, you're a little bit younger than me, but you still remember this. I remember when Men in Black came out. I didn't see myself as wanting to be Tommy Lee Jones. I want to be Will Smith because he's cool. And he was fun. Cool. Yep. It doesn't matter what color he was. You know what I mean?
Nope.
So as long as the character is written well and portrayed well, people will gravitate to it because that's how it works.
Exactly.
All right. For the past 2 years, Donnie Cates' Marvel Cosmic Stories have been a mainstay and among the best offerings in all of comics. From Thanos to Death of the Inhumans to Cosmic Ghost Rider, now with Guardians of the Galaxy and Silver Surfer Black, Cates has his finger firmly on the pulse of Marvel's comic universe. Word is December's Guardians of the Galaxy number 12 is the culmination of his cosmic stories. What do you think his legacy will be in Marvel's cosmic universe as he moves on?
I think it will be looked upon favorably. Again, this is me being objective because unfortunately, not for lack of trying, I haven't found myself to be a Donny Cates fan, but I appreciate and I respect what he's doing. My favorite part of, apart from Captain America, my favorite part of Marvel as a whole is the cosmic side. I loved what Al Ewing was doing with the Ultimates. And the telling of the story of Galactus and all those different cosmic concepts. I loved what Jim Starlin was doing. Jim Starlin is still my favorite writer. The death of Captain Marvel back from the 80s is just one of the most heartbreaking and awesome, incredible comics I've ever seen. And I just loved what he was doing with everything out there. Chris Marinin, who is from Sacramento, and his Nova stories, you know what I mean? And all these different things. Ron Lim, who's from Sacramento, drawing the Infinity Gauntlet and Silver Surfer with Jim Starlin. So when I saw that Cates was coming back to kind of, like they have James Gunn and he was supposed to bring about the cosmic universe for the MCU, Donny Cates being in control of that for the Marvel Comics, I think was a really good idea. And I do enjoy, like I said, what he did with Silver Surfer Black. And I know it's all culminating into, the symbiote thing and Null and all that stuff. But ultimately, I think it will be looked upon favorably. I appreciate his efforts, even though, unfortunately, I can't force myself to like majority of it. And what I'm hoping is that through this, maybe behind him, when he moves on to the next phase of his career, someone comes up behind him and continues with the cosmic concepts of Marvel. And hopefully I find favor in their work.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that his Marvel cosmic work kind of started out on a sour note. I don't know if everybody realizes this, that, Jim Starlin was supposed to be writing a Thanos story, and Tom Brevoort knew the beats of the story and knew that Donny Cates was essentially writing the exact same story, and Thanos wins. And it ended up causing a falling out between Jim Starlin and Marvel Comics, and it kind of was a dirty mess. It felt like Donny Cates was unnecessarily involved in that. It wasn't really his fault. It was actually the editorial team. But that is an amazing story. Thanos wins was my introduction to Donnie Cates, and I thought it was amazing. Not everything else has worked out quite as well. His Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, is really great. I really enjoyed his Cosmic Ghost Rider as well. That's one of the weirdest, wackiest comics I've ever read in my life. Similar to Silver Surfer Blackwood, but definitely different because of the art and everything. But I think Donnie Cates is, he's the future of Marvel, in my opinion. He's the best writer they have there. His Venom is been amazing. I think his leadership of Absolute Carnage has been better than any of the other event books Marvel has done, unless you count Hickman's X-Men as an event, which I don't. I can consider that a reboot. So I think he's done really well. I think he's got a huge future at DC Comics. I've even heard, I don't know if this is true, I heard there was a rumor that he was offered at Marvel Comics. I heard at DC he was offered the keys to Batman to be the guy that replaced Tom King, and he turned it down because he said he wasn't done with Marvel. So I do like that. That shows a sense of loyalty and appreciation for the doors that were open for you and trying to make the most of what you've been given. And I find that admirable. So I like Donnie Cates. I think sometimes he gets, social media isn't fun for everybody. It can be a tough environment to deal with. So sometimes he doesn't handle himself great on social media, but otherwise I think he's a good ambassador. I think his writing is top notch, and he's starting to really draw in the artistic talent. You can see the level of artist on his writer or on his comics is just going up and up and up, because those guys are coming in and saying that, I want to work with Donnie Cates. I think that's really exciting.
I think so too, and I appreciate all of those things about him. I like the cut of his jib, overall. And the work is a separate thing, and like I said, I can be objective enough, and divorce myself from those feelings to see the good that he is doing, because at the end of the day, he is creating comic books where the key agenda is a good story, and people are responding to that in a positive way. And if that sells more books, and if that brings people together, and we have less divisiveness, and hey, you're digging that book, I'm digging that book too, then I'm all for it. So though I, again, unfortunately, I'm not a fan of Donnie Cates and his work. The personality of Donnie Cates, what he represents, what he's doing, and how he's having people come back to comic books, I support, because I want to see this industry continue in a healthy manner.
You and me both, my friend. All right, last subject. Joaquin Phoenix has created quite a buzz with his current role as the Joker. Another eccentric star recently threw his hat in the DC villain ring. Fantastic Beast star Eddie Redmayne recently told IMDb he would love to play the Riddler. Does Eddie Redmayne feel like the right choice to bring Edward Nygma back to the big screen?
Man, that one is so tough for me, Wes, because I see it. Like, I feel like he has the aesthetic and the look for it. But I'm just controversial today. I'm gonna admit another thing. I have not finished watching any of the Harry Potter films. I've never read any of the books. The only two that I've seen, thankfully, from my ex-girlfriend, who we're still friends, I saw Fantastic Beasts 1 right before Fantastic Beasts 2 came out. And I'll tell you this, he committed to his character, but I don't know what that character was. So if he's going to come and be the Riddler, I need to see him play something else that was better than what he did in Fantastic Beasts. But I'll tell you, he's got the look. I can totally see him in any of the many different iterations of the Riddler that we've seen over the years aesthetically. And I feel like he has the juice to do it, but I haven't seen it. So I can't be fully comfortable with it until I've seen it.
He's actually a pretty good actor. He's mostly known for his kind of indie, darling, Oscar bait type flicks. The only time I can think of that he was a villain was in the Wachowski siblings movie where Channing Tatum was like half man, half dog. You remember that one?
Was that Jupiter Rising? Oh, Jupiter Ascending. Right.
Yeah, he was the big bad in that one. And I'll be honest, I don't think he's got a presence like to be the big villain. Like, he has the look for the Riddler, but I don't think he has a menacing presence. Even Jim Carrey kind of carried the Riddler pretty well in his movie, but I don't know. I'm very skeptical that he's the right man to bring the Riddler back to the big screen. With the upcoming reboot with was it Robert Pattinson is going to be the new Batman?
Right. Yeah,
So do you,
he doesn't feel intimidating enough for me, and I don't mean like physically imposing like a Bane would be, but just off the rocker even that he could really cause a ruckus. Now if the Riddler is not going to be the big bad of the movie, but he's going to be a part of the movie, then I can see him playing that because then he doesn't have to carry the gravitas and everything of the big bad. But if we're talking about Riddler being the big bad, yeah, I just haven't seen enough from him, and I trust your taste, Wes. I'm gonna have to roll with the fact that I don't think that'd be a good idea for the Riddler being the big bad with Eddie Redmayne in that lead role.
so I remember, quite a few years ago, the rumor was that Johnny Depp was going to be the Riddler, and I always thought, man, that's perfect. Johnny Depp would be the ultimate Riddler. He comes off as crazy, anyway. He always likes to do these loopy things, and he has a gravitas. He has a presence. He can definitely pull off a villain. I don't know who would be the guy now. He's probably too old, but I agreed. Yeah, Eddie Redmayne, not the most exciting choice in the world. So, do you want to do the one bonus question we have left?
I'm
Or
down.
you-
I have one more thing to add though.
Okay, my bad.
On that note, it's funny. Oddly enough, even though I wasn't digging him in the lead as in Fantastic Beasts, I did enjoy Johnny Depp as a villain
Yeah.
in Fantastic Beasts, and they did a good job of making him look good. So actually, because of that. And if he can really really all he would have to do is just lose 10 pounds, maybe 15. If he could just drop some weight, Johnny Depp, they could still put that makeup. They can bring back that crybaby. I would still be down for him to be the Riddler. I'm still with it because, oh my gosh, I think of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and, even him playing Willy Wonka, as creepy as that was and all the stuff that he's done with
That's the
Tim
ultimate
Burton.
villain right there. Can you imagine Willy Wonka as the Riddler? Oh, nightmares.
See? That's what I'm talking about. So actually, Wes, I think that he could still do it, man.
All right, we're going to do one last bonus question. I recently did a DC News. And we talked about the rumors of a black Batman. We were going to talk about it last week. Things happened. We didn't get to do the first Geek-Span. What are your thoughts on can there be a black Batman in the DC Comics universe?
Yeah, man. I think there can be. Of course, the first thing I thought of, I was like, oh, this just sounds like something to drum up controversy and another new #1, and let's get everybody talking and all that stuff. So at very first, I was like, do not pass go, do not collect $200. This sounds way too try hard. But then I do remember, and I came back to the fact that when there were different people that did take the mantle sometimes, like whether it be Wally West taking over for wow, seriously, really, Barry Allen, for the Flash and different things like that. As long as the character is solid and established and the story is good, it can work. I know people were bringing up Jean-Paul Valley, who took over for Batman during Nightfall and obviously ultimately ended up becoming Azrael. And I am from that era, so I am a Jean-Paul Valley fan. I'm not so much of a fan that I would just redo the whole story like Tom King in modern day, but it can work. But do I want it? I can't say that I want it. You know what I mean? It's just
I'm in the same boat.
It can work. So I got to see. I would much rather this be an Elseworld story, just kind of how they did. I think it was Earth 1 or Earth 2 where they had the black Superman, but he was it was basically Obama Superman. He had he was a black dude, and I think he was simultaneously the president. If I'm reporting it correctly, I'm not completely sure, but I mean, that wasn't the greatest, and it seemed to try hard. So it just feels like they're just trying to drum that all over again and do it with Batman. And I'm just is it with everything that Tom King has done? To create this novella, which is a love letter to his wife, which I'm all about marriage, and I'm so happy that he's so happy in his marriage. But dog, keep that there, okay? For Batman, can you just give us Batman, bro? You know what I mean? Not Bat and Cat.
It's been a while.
Oh my gosh! So for me, man, I'm just is this really what you want to follow up the mess that Tom King has created with? Is this really what do you really want to do this right now, DC? That's my question to them. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, and the worst part is, it's got Bendis's fingerprints all over it. He's already done this twice. He did it with Iron Man. He did it with Spider-Man. Like, get a new idea, man. Make him a Chinese Batman, something. Just something different.
Oh. And I guess he has like Bendis is, you know, and I don't mean anything negative about this at all. This is a beautiful thing. He's adopted different races of children, like, and I know he doesn't just have black kids. Like, dog, can you like if all of this, if Tom King stuff is all for his wife and your stuff is all for your kids, can we please just have some variety? That's all I'm saying. Something
a little different this time, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm like in the 99% certain at this point with the amount of places I've seen it from. I've heard it from some pretty good sources. So likely it's going to happen in 2020 when Bruce exits Batman and go do the Batman Catwoman miniseries. There will be a new Batman, and he's going to be a black character, likely Luke Fox. We'll see how it goes. But if it's Bendis, it's going to suck.
Oh my gosh, they better not go from having Tom King write Batman to Bendis. But here's the thing, though. I'll be honest with you, Wes, and I'm just thinking about it now. How many people probably want to touch Batman that like have an established name right now?
I'm sure that that's the dream character for a lot of people. I know Brian Hill's talked about it a lot. Of course, he's on Batman and the Outsiders.
Right. But I mean, that's everybody's dream character. I mean, hell, I got ideas for Batman. I got two
stories.
You got two, bro. I have two stories. We might have to talk about our stories, but it's not that it's Batman. It's Tom King tainted Batman.
Oh yeah,
that's what I mean.
That's a lot.
You gotta clean up. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm walking into Batman. I got a dope Batman story. No, it's, oh god, I gotta clean up all this Tom King all over the floor, and then I have to establish who I am, and then find the voice of the character. Like, oh, that's just a mess.
Jonathan Hickman made it look easy with X-Men. Anybody can do it.
Sure, anybody can do it. Well, now I'm going to ask you, Wes, because I know we're getting ready to cut this short. Like, your ideas for Batman, are they so sacred that you're not willing to share them, or are you down to throw out what some of them are?
Well, not here on the stream, but we could talk about it off.
Okay.
They're not good enough to share with people. People are like, man, this dude doesn't know anything. I'm like, exactly.
All right, well, I'm going to be bold and throw out mine. And if y'all want to throw some hate my way, throw it. But if y'all want to throw some love my way, throw that too. I got two. This one is actually trying to come out of this. So this one, I was thinking of calling it, because we've had Blackest Night, obviously, from that whole storyline. I was thinking of calling it Darkest Night. Have we had a Darkest and then, like Night, like Knights of the Round Table, Knight? Have we had that yet?
I believe that there's been an issue called Darkest Night.
Okay, an issue called Darkest Night, but not a story arc.
Let me look.
Okay,
Googling it.
Look it up. So
keep going.
Called Darkest Night, and basically it's the aftermath of this, and the image in my mind that I have is Batman like under a street light, Alex Ross type art, like looking up towards the light as it's casting down on him, and he's on, like a street block, maybe even the same the corner of the alley where his parents, died, and he's looking up at the street like, there's hope. I have to ascend out of this dark place that Tom King has put me in. So we go through that story arc and everything. How it gets fixed again is pretty difficult, but the whole idea is that there's hope. So he starts repairing all the relationships that got torn up, all the backhanding and smacking all of his Robins and all that stuff, and he lets Catwoman know, like, hey, the fling that we had is the fling that we had, and we'll have to remember those times. But I've got to get back to my city because my parents died. Their blood ran through the drains of this city into the alley, and I've got to clean it up. And he goes back and he gets back to being him. And then as he goes through all this stuff, everything, ultimately it leads to what I would like to call Batman the Dawn. And at that point, he's repaired all his relationships with Gordon and the Robins and everything. That's most of the story. There will be a big bad. We got to have an antagonist. Unfortunately, the big bad really should be Tom King. But that's a whole nother thing. And then after he repairs all the relationships and goes through it, then the next thing is Batman the Dawn. And this is going to be a wacky one. And again, maybe a little controversial and maybe a little Adam West-like. But basically, my idea was that he has Tim go and help run Wayne Enterprises, since Tim is kind of the smartest one. Robin leaves the Nightwing mantle for a minute. He's no longer Rick Grayson. He comes back to be Dick Grayson, and he comes back to be Batman's sidekick, to be close to him because he just went through a bunch of controversial and, very hard times. So his best friend comes back to be his best friend and be right by his side. Damian, I'm sorry, I'm not a Damian fan. I never have been. But Damian decides, hey, you know what? I've been the assassin kid for a long time. And my experience with the Super Sons kind of has me interested in just being like a teenager my age for a little while and just going to school and not being Ra's al Ghul's grandson, but being Bruce Wayne's son. So he goes and he's just dealing with stuff at school and just trying to learn how to be a normal kid at that point. Not Red Robin, because that's Tim. Red Hood, my favorite from all of them. He goes and he ends up taking over Black Mask's operation, and then same thing, kind of cleaning it up with help and funds through Wayne Enterprises. So him and Tim are working together to kind of clean up things on some corporate levels. And those are the relationships. Those are the main ones. And I think, the whole thing with Catwoman, she goes back to being a cat burglar because she accepts the fact that Bruce is going to dedicate himself back to his family, his actual namesake, the Waynes, and go back to being Batman to, like I said, clean up their blood out of the streets and clean up the city. And he's back with his original family, and they're all close and tight knit again together. Well, and that's called the Dawn.
You gotta outline that stuff, man.
I got to outline. Oh, and that was the other thing. Tim took over Wayne Enterprises, so now Batman can actually fight crime during the day, too. So he's not always out during the day, but that's like one of the things in the Dawn is him looking up to the light, and the Darkest Night is him looking up to the light for hope, and then he finds the hope, and then the Dawn, that first issue is him busting out with some of the Robins, and it's the daytime, and like everybody's like, oh, damn, Batman's out in the day, too? Like now, like criminals can't just, go and do stuff during the daytime like they were trying to. Bingo, no refuge. Now Batman is everywhere. And since his family is back, they're all fighting crime at a corporate level and at the street level. Those are my ideas for bringing Batman back.
All right. So there is a book called Batman in Darkest Night, 1994, written by Mike Barr with art by Jerry Bingham. Now, I think there's actually a couple of more single issues, but that's the one that comes up in the Google.
Okay.
So you might need a new name.
Okay.
But, hey, they made 2 Man of Steels. What are you going to do?
Right. Well, and there's so many story arcs where it's like, Infinite, Final Crisis, Infinite Crisis, I think I would just like append something, but I do want it to be Darkest Night because the tagline is it's always darkest before dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And that's bringing us out of Tom King's darkness back into the dawn. So that's my idea.
And you know what we call Bendis at DC Comics?
What?
Crisis with Infinite Dialogue.
Oh my gosh, all the speech bubbles. They're taking over the world. Superman, help me. All of the dialogue bubbles, they're falling over.
No one can stop it.
No one can. Not even a dimensional punch can stop. Not even Superboy Prime can stop all these Bendis word bubbles.
Not.
That's what I would write. I would write Superboy Prime breaking through reality and taking Brian Michael Bendis' pen or laptop out of his hand.
Pulling him into the world and being like, Joker, he's yours. End it.
Yeah. There you go. That's Wes's story arc. We're gonna that's our next DC event. Me and Wes are writing.
Yes, Crisis on Infinite Pages. The Brian Bendis and Tom King story.
Oh, it's funny because that's what one of my friends went back and reread Crisis on Infinite Earths with me, and she was like, oh my gosh, like compared to modern day comics, there's so many words. And I was like, yeah, Crisis of Infinite Words, huh? Yeah, she started laughing. It was pretty funny.
All right, so that should just about do it, my friend. What do you say? Is this a good first issue or first episode of Geek-Span?
I'm going to say it's a good first issue and episode because it's like a comic to me.
We're going to come back for next week, right?
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? We're going to be here every week. You guys better get used to seeing us.
Absolutely. So thank you all so much for joining us. We'll be here right back here next week to talk about the newest and latest comic industry news.